Welcome back to the Electronic Intifada Podcast. I'm Nora Barrows-Friedman. In March, before the so-called ceasefire was broken by Israel and the wide-scale genocidal attacks resumed, the United Nations Agency for Sexual and Reproductive Health noted that, quote, an estimated 155,000 pregnant women and new mothers in Gaza face dire conditions, struggling to survive in tents and makeshift shelters, exposed to harsh weather and biting winds. Without clean water and sanitation, their weakened immune systems are yet more vulnerable to disease and ill health. Now, under airstrikes, drone attacks, tank fire, and more than a month of closures to all medications and medical supplies, food, fuel, and other basic essentials, we wanted to take a look at the state of women's health and what it's like specifically for breastfeeding mothers right now in Gaza. Joining us to talk about this is Sandra Adler Killen, who comes to us from Gaza. She's an emergency room and pediatric nurse and an internationally board-certified lactation consultant. She's worked in Syria and Lebanon in 2023 and has worked twice in Gaza in 2024. A year ago, Sandra volunteered at a trauma stabilization point, managing mass casualty incidents with a team from the Palestine Red Crescent Society. She's back working in Gaza with the medical solidarity organization Glia in collaboration with Gina, an NGO based in Scotland. Sandra, thank you so much for being with us today on the Electronic Intifada Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Nora.
So first off, tell us about where you're working now and the kind of work you're doing at various hospitals in Gaza. What does lactation consulting even look like in Gaza right now? What are you able to do?
Right. So I'll give you a little bit of a sense of some of the cases that I've already encountered, some of the struggles that the staff is dealing with to provide the kind of care that they know how to provide, but obviously with so many obstacles and impediments happening now, both related to the lives of the staff members and the lives of these mothers and babies. It's very incredibly challenging. So I'll start with today because I was going to, prior to today, I was going to share about some other cases, but even today, so we have a very limited staff. I was at Al Aqsa Hospital when I first arrived, and now I'm at Nasser Hospital. Gina, which is collaborating with Glia. Glia is the EMT team that I arrived with, who've been absolutely amazing, ranging on my logistics and safety. And then Gina is a breastfeeding initiative for women in Gaza that was started, as you mentioned, based out of Scotland. But we have lactation consultants and general practitioners who speak Arabic, and we've been providing telehealth care for them since this incursion began, so 18 months ago. So we have seen the status of these mothers, the health status of these mothers, continually decline. The health of these babies continually being affected by lack of food, by lack of clean water, by unsafe conditions in their homes, by inability to come to the clinics and hospitals to get timely care. We've been seeing an increase in poor outcomes related to all of these impediments. And then the staff is completely drained and exhausted. As we know, they're dealing with the exact same issues. Their stress level after having such chronic PTSD for 18 months, and yet they come every day to work, serving our mothers and babies with joy, with capability, with incredibly heart-centered care. And it's a tragedy beyond a tragedy that we are not giving these new mothers and this new life the kind of support that every single being that comes into this earth is entitled to.
Tell us about, I mean, anyone who's had a baby or has been around someone who's had a baby, and and they've chosen or are able to breastfeed. It's a very delicate, very painstaking process, especially I think for new mothers and parents. Um, what is what is it like, trying to teach and mentor new mothers, especially who have, as you said, this are in unbearable circumstances, are in shelters or in tents, are being displaced over and over again, are trying to keep their babies healthy and warm and fed while they themselves are also trying to keep themselves healthy and warm and fed. What are some of the specific issues that come up when nursing mothers are having a hard time breastfeeding their babies?
Well, first of all, every new mother, I don't care where you live, breastfeeding is natural, but it's not always intuitive. And we need the support, whether it's by clinicians or whether it's by family. We know so many of these mothers, their families have been wiped out. Maybe even they got pregnant and their husbands were killed. They have no extended family members helping them. Now, the Gazan people are incredible. They truly are. They come in, neighbors that don't even know them. They're in new tents. They've just come to this area, and everybody will try to support these new mothers, bring them food, care for them. Some of these women have multiple children that they're trying to take care of, to feed, to keep clean and healthy with such limited sanitation. So we have one element is the displacement, the constant displacement of these mothers. We have no privacy. If they are in a tent with family, then there's no privacy. You have extended families and aunts and uncles and cousins. Where does a mother have privacy to breastfeed? Where does she have a moment of time for herself to heal? So both of those are major factors. But dealing with, I mean, I can go on and on about the multiple things. I deal with cases of mastitis, breast abscesses. I deal with, again, malnutrition. So, beside what I'm caring for within the hospital units of new women who, or excuse me, new mothers who've just had babies, women who have C-sections, they just had surgery, they're trying to feed, they're traumatized already by anybody who goes through surgery. It's traumatic experience. And then they only have capacity for them to stay for maybe 24 hours. So they're up and they're back in tents after 24 hours. Vaginal births, maybe 3 hours. After 3 hours, they have to go home because of limited capacity. During the winter, we were dealing with multiple cases of hypothermia. These babies were suffering. If hopefully they were surviving, but even if they were surviving, that impacted their, again, long-term health outcomes. So because of the stress, we have decreased milk supply. I mean, again, electricity, clean water, the formula is it's not always safe. So, and we have many well-meaning NGOs that are delivering formula, and they're being given because these mothers are so fearful and so desperate that because of their malnutrition, they will not have enough milk supply to feed their babies. They start with the formula that is given out, a one container to them in the hospital by these well-meaning NGOs, but then it decreases their milk supply. They have no money to buy additional formula. And then we have, again, much poorer outcomes. So if there are any NGOs that are providing formula, um, please do not deliver it to newborn babies and new mothers. Let's give them diapers. They can't afford diapers. Part of our practice is making sure babies have sufficient output, and maybe they're changing the diapers twice a day. So these babies are sitting in dirty diapers because they have no money and no access to diapers. Horrific diaper rash we're seeing. So it goes from life threatening conditions to even just basic human dignity, human care.
Sandra, can you tell us one story of, a lactating mother that you've worked with that really encapsulates the conditions that you're working under and that she is living under? What's one of those stories?
Well, of course, every case I see encapsulates it, to be perfectly honest. One of the ones that I can share with you, a mother was with her baby. There was a strike on the building she was living in, and she was injured by shrapnel in her face, in her arm, and across her chest. One of the pieces of shrapnel severed one of her milk ducts, and she was leaking milk. So this mother came to me with a infected wound. I cleaned it, I provided wound care for her, and she was very worried about the absorption of lead from the weapons into her milk supply, and was it still safe to feed her precious baby. So I was able to work with her and assure her, and her wound is healing beautifully. Her multiple wounds, but there was a large one in her left breast. And so, yeah, where in the world do we ever see something like that occur? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what happens in Gaza. Sandra, what made you get into this line of work in general? What compelled you to do this very specific form of care for women and babies? And what leads you to keep coming back to Gaza? I mean, you could have a very successful, practice in the States, without traveling anywhere. What keeps you coming back?
Well, first and foremost is the people of Gaza. The love and connection and hospitality. I mean, they have nothing. And my friends at home were all worried that I would lose so much weight. They bring me food every day. They share what little they have with me to make sure I'm well fed, well taken care of. The humor, most of the people I meet, the most incredible sense of humor, just this capacity for love, this capacity for giving. It's just such a huge part of the Palestinian people and the culture and the openness and just the graciousness and beyond, like, the training and intelligence. I mean, I just respect my colleagues so much and I learn from them every day. You asked me so that's one of the things that I love about being here. I feel it is such a gift to me to be surrounded by such beautiful friends and who have become my family. Most of the clinicians in my team that I work with, they're all young women, doctors, nurses, midwives in their 20s and early 30s. They're my daughters. They have become my daughters. So for me, I feel so connected, and one of the reasons, well, when I became a nurse 15 years ago, I knew I wanted to do this work. This is why I became a nurse. I have a practice at home, I have a job at home, I work in an outpatient pediatric clinic. Um, but I was raised by an incredible mother that taught me that we must give back. We must help those that are in a situation that where they don't have safety, they don't have security, they don't have freedom, they don't have justice. And while I've been here, my mother actually passed away. So for me to
So
continue to
sorry.
do this work, thank you, And the people, all of my colleagues here, my friends, my family here, held me as I sobbed, held me, comforted me, made sure that I was okay, brought me things to heal me. So this is an honor. Being here right now, the hardest thing for me is going to be leaving. This is an honor and a privilege in my mother's name to be able to do this work.
Mm. I'm so sorry again, and I'm so glad that you were held by your colleagues there at that time, because I know that grief and pain and loss is everywhere in Gaza right now, and it doesn't
Yes.
stay in
Yeah.
Gaza. It permeates and reverberates throughout the world.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit more about you know when you come back after being in Gaza, or you were in Syria and Lebanon as well? What are some of the stories or the images, the the words, the people, the experiences that you hold on to the most? What you know, I mean, I ask doctors frequently, like, what keeps you up at night, but also what keeps you going. Um, what what is it about the work and the experiences that you're collecting through that work that have impacted you the most, especially in this last trip to Gaza?
I mean, I feel that it's my obligation to be a compassionate witness to everything that I've seen. From looking outside the hospital where I'm sleeping here at night, and seeing this area next to the hospital that's just filled with rubble and broken metal and um, you know, brown and dirty. And then having my colleagues here that have been working here for years show me pictures of themselves having picnics and lunches and parties in a beautiful park that is covered green lawn, gorgeous trees, flowers everywhere, and now it's just gone, just devastation gone. Um, the thing obviously I think about the most, I check in all the time with my friends and my family now that are here, and I worry about them. I'm worried all the time, about their safety, about their health, that everything is okay with them and their families. I've lost people that I've cared for. I do telehealth from when I'm back home to support breastfeeding mothers in Gaza. People that I've been supporting, I find out have been killed. So for me, they will always everybody here. I hold them close to my heart. They're always in my prayers, and I just want this insanity, this horror to stop. And we must find a way to pressure the governments. We cannot stop pressuring the governments. We cannot let never in the history of humanity, that certainly modern times, have we allowed, as human beings on this planet, allowed other people to suffer to this extent, day in and day out. Yes, we can't stop, fighting for our friends and our family, our brothers and sisters that are in Gaza.
People talk about obligation and responsibility as, for you and me, Americans, um, as co-signers of this genocide. Um, what is what does obligation and solidarity mean to you, and what can you tell people about um, ways that they can get involved in their countries?
Again, I believe in my heart that the Palestinian people would do anything they could to protect me. How are we not all doing everything we can to protect them? I mean, to me, it's just basic humanity. It's just, again, it's so difficult. We don't even have the words anymore. It's criminal what these governments are doing. It's indescribable. I don't know how people sleep at night, how they live with themselves, how they love their children, their grandchildren, and they know that this is happening to families just like theirs.
Sandra Adler Killen, you are a lactation consultant and a nurse, and you are currently working with the medical solidarity organization Glia, as well as Gina, a Scottish NGO. Sandra, is there a way that people can follow you on social media, or where can they go to learn more about the work that you do or that Glia and Gina do?
Yeah, so I really recommend following Glia and Gina. They both have a presence on social media. They're doing amazing work. Gina.org, Glia.org. You can look them up. And yes, if there and one another wonderful way to help is support them with donations because they are doing incredible work, and I'm so proud to be part of their teams.
Thank you so much. We're so grateful for the work that you are doing, with your hands, with your physical presence, and with your whole heart and soul. And so thank you so much for that work and for being with us today on the Electronic Intifada podcast.
It was my pleasure, Nora. Thank you so much for continuing to be such a vocal advocate for the people of Gaza and all of Palestine.
Thank you.